Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Franchise Interviews, where for over 4 years we've been asking the franchise entrepreneurs to own one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, with my co-host, Don Johnson. And if you ever dreamed of owning your own business, then you've come to the right place. We have a great show today. We're meeting with Taylor Bond, the CEO of the Children's Orchard and Newcomers. Founded in 1980, Children's Orchard is the nation's first franchise of gently used and new name brand children's items. And that's coming up on segment 2 of Franchise Interviews. So stick around because we got a great show.
Are you one of those special people who are willing to go after your dreams and goals? Are you ready to fulfill that dream of owning your own business with the security of a proven brand? The opportunity to take control of your future and own a Rita's Italian Ice franchise is within your reach.
Rita's is seeking success-oriented individuals who are ready to make a change in their life, and Rita's offers unparalleled training and support to assure your success. And did you know the frozen treat industry is a recession-proof industry, and there are Rita's in 23 states currently with 540 stores open. Rita's Italian Ice has been around for 25 years and is listed as a top-performing franchise by the Wall Street Journal.
Now here's the really good part. Rita's Italian Ice is a unique and amazing taste treat. It's smoother than a snow cone, and it combines ice with real fresh fruit. The real fruit adds dramatically to the taste, and it comes in over 40 flavors. The ice and fruit are mixed on site and made fresh daily, and it is delicious.
You'll want to know more about this exciting and successful franchise opportunity. Go to www.ownaritas.com and get all your questions answered. That's www.ownaritas.com to take control of your dreams and future today. You don't want to wait any longer to be a part of this adventure. www.ownaritas.com.
Who's helping build America one small business at a time? Franchise Inc., a free consulting service.
For years, Franchise Inc., a national company, has been helping people franchise their business concept and help folks like you own a franchise.
With over 2,500 franchise systems out there, it can be awfully confusing. Don't take chances with your future. At Franchise Inc., we've done the homework for you. We can help match your interests and background with the franchise that's right for you. And we only work with proven franchise systems with a solid reputation and track record of success.
The consultants at Franchising can help you with your short and long-term wealth strategy.
Give us a call today and we'll send you free our best-selling book, Solving the Puzzle of Owning a Franchise.
Remember, it's not just owning a franchise, but finding the right one for you. Call us at 800-961-0420 for a quick consultation to discuss what's important to you, your business, and your future.
The service is free. The book is free. What do you have to lose? Find the business that's right for you.
Call Franchise Inc. at 800-961-0420. That's Franchise Inc. at 800-961-0420.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Franchise Interviews, where we're asking the franchise entrepreneurs to own one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, with my co-host, Don Johnson. And if you ever dream of owning your own business, come to the right place. How you doing today, Don? Welcome back.
Yeah, same with you, Marty. Doing fine. Been a few weeks. The end of the summer has been well for myself and my family. How about with you?
It was good. I was going to say, do you still remember how to do this? I was struggling a bit on the intro.
I think we'll manage it.
Vacation and everything like that, you know? It's
right.
Yeah,
We've done close to 200 shows now, so.
Yeah, well, this is, you were saying before the show, it's a milestone today. It's show number 190 done, if you can imagine that. 190
right.
shows. Can you imagine that?
Yeah,
it just seems like yesterday that we started.
Right. Yep, and 200's right around the corner. That'll be a special show, just like our 100th show was.
Right. That's going to be a fantastic show. We're already talking about that, so it should be interesting. Our last show, Don, you're going to have to go back to your memory. We met with the Nukes Express Cafe franchise opportunity, and it was interesting. It's always fun having the franchisee on the show. If you missed the show, Nukes Express Cafe is an express casual dining experience in a refreshing and stylish atmosphere with an emphasis on freshness and flavor. And again, once again, we had I think it was Chris Newcomb and franchisee Ray Scott Miller, and he seemed like a great match for this franchise.
Right. Yeah, I was impressed that Ray was so gung-ho. I mean, I guess he knew the restaurant industry. I think he mentioned he went to CIA, Culinary Institute of America, but he was someone who didn't need to talk to a bunch of franchisees, and we wasn't as concerned that maybe it wasn't a well-known franchise name. He just went in and saw that Chris, he really did things, correctly on how all the details of the restaurant. He was impressed by that and knew it would work and took the risk, and very happy he made that decision. It seems like he's doing well, and this business looks like it's really going to have a nice future over the next few years as their expansion.
Yeah, I think he was also sold on the system, that Nukes was this method of doing things. I think he was really impressed by that, So yeah, I think we should keep our eye on them, and as I always say, have them back, in the next year or so as these guys continue to grow. So yeah, it was a good show. So what do we got going on today, Don?
Well, today we're meeting with Taylor Bond, CEO of Children's Orchard and Newcomers Welcome Service. So interested to find out all about them. Looks like they have 50 franchise locations for Children's Orchard, so looks like they're established and growing.
Children's Orchard. I've heard of them before, and I think you and I can appreciate this kind of service, of course, having children, but I've always liked this particular business model, I've always found it interesting. So, so I'm looking forward to having Taylor on the show today. Should be interesting.
And, myself having 6-year-old twins, it's just incredible how quickly the kids start growing. So you're always, you're always needing clothes and accessories and stuff. So we'll hear all about their story. I've got a couple franchise shows coming up, Marty, the Franchise and Business Opportunities Expo. We've got a show September 11th and 12th in Chicago. It's called the Midwest Franchise Expo. Later in the month on the 25th and 26th in Phoenix Convention Center. That's a 2-day franchise show. Then October, there are shows in Northern Virginia, Dallas, and Orlando. People could simply go to the website and find out all about their shows. U.S. Franchise Expos, it's with an S, usfranchiseexpos.com.
Yeah, and I like those smaller shows too, Don, sometimes. It's nice. I think you get a better chance to sometimes talk to the franchisors,
Right.
And you and I, over the last, 4 years of doing the show, we always, emphasize to our listeners, if you are going to go to the show, go prepared, almost like you're going for an interview, I think there's nothing worse than someone going up to a booth and say, what do you guys do? What do you guys do? You should have it in your mind who you'd like to speak to on that particular day, and spend some time with them, grill them, ask them, as many questions as possible. This is your opportunity to do that. So, yeah, those shows are great. I understand they put on a good show.
That's a good point you made, because it is a two-way street. Franchisors just don't accept anybody. I think they'd be impressed if they started speaking to someone and they kind of had their, notes, so to speak, on that particular franchise, know a little bit about the franchise and the industry and asking the right questions that the franchisor wants to hear. I think right away the franchisor would say, like, hey, this is an interested prospect who we, seems like we'd want to have them in our system.
Yeah. No, it's true. Treat it like it's an interview, like a job interview. Go prepared, get dressed up, don't, wear a suit or, a sport jacket, whatever it may be. But that's what I say do is treat it. They don't have to accept you, if they don't want to. There's a lot of franchisors out there that will say no to prospective franchisees, and I think some franchisees are surprised, or prospective franchisees are surprised to hear that sometimes they say, what, we don't think this is a match, So, most definitely go prepared because, I've heard, you do the shows all the time, but people just coming up to you saying, what do you do? What do you do? And it's like you're constantly repeating yourself all day. Go prepared. Why not? So, absolutely. We'll spend some more time talking about that, too, as we get ready for the show in Washington, in the springtime.
Right. There's also a big show up in a couple months in November, the West Coast Expo in L.A. So we'll be talking more about that in the future. Marty, I found something through allbusiness.com, 3 steps to evaluating a franchise. This is kind of what we've specialized in since we've done the show. Always trying to give our listeners, who a lot of times are just being introduced to franchising, some just practical tips. And this was written by Andrew Caffey, a nation's leading franchise legal specialist. He represents franchisors across the U.S. The one question I hear asked the most often about franchising, he says, how do I know if this is the right franchise business for me? If I were asked that question by one of my 3 brothers, here's how I would go about helping him evaluate the offering. So he has 3 steps. Step 1, consultation. I would explain that so much depends on what he likes to do with his time, on what he would both enjoy and be good at. There is so much more to choosing a franchise and finding an opportunity that will make money, although that is an important part. Equally important is evaluating your own skills and interests.
Right.
Step 2, read the franchise disclosure document. So many people don't even look at this important document, which is incredible. What I have seen happen is that after reading several FDDs, the franchise disclosure document, people tend to think that they are all alike because they all sort of look alike, of course. My brother and I would go through it together, and he talks about the essential parts of the FDD that he would insist that they review together. Items 3 and 4 within the FDD, a quick review of the litigation and bankruptcy disclosures. I mean, that's a no-brainer. Obviously, look to see if they had any of that in their past. There may well be information here that would knock a franchise out of contention. If the president of the franchise has been in federal prison for securities violations, or the franchisor has just emerged from Chapter 11 bankruptcy, you might want to look into that further.
Right, and that's the law, Don. I mean, that's how it's set up according to the franchise rule. They have to disclose that information to prospective franchisees. Of course, the average person wouldn't know that, but I mean, wow, that is powerful information,
Right.
So.
And then obviously it's a good point to look through the company's financial statements, reviewing its assets, debts, and last year's revenues. Does the company look healthy? What about the quick ratio, current assets divided by current liabilities?
Right. And if you don't understand that, Don, you emphasize on the show, particularly with the financials, have an expert look at it. It's quite all right to have an accountant look at the franchise disclosure document, and of course have a franchise attorney look at this thing as well. It is supposed to be written in layman's terms, so the average person can understand it, but sometimes when you see a thing like a quick ratio, so what the hell is that? It's so it's true. A lot of average people just don't understand those ratios and things like that. So it's okay. Have people help you make a decision on this. You don't have to be an island and go at this alone. That's for sure.
That should be a quote. You just gave us a new quote.
I can put myself in great quotes in franchising.
This is another important part, Marty, state-specific information. It's a state you're in looking to open the franchise. Is there any specific arrangements that the franchisor has to do that might affect their business? Franchise registration states will require these arrangements if they conclude that the franchisor is not adequately capitalized or otherwise possess an unreasonable risk to investors. So in some states, franchisor has to actually register and be approved to offer and do business in that state. It's only like about 8 to 10 states out of all the states. Item 13 on the FDD, check to make sure the trademark is federally registered. I might even confirm the status of the registration myself. He actually gives out a website, www.us P, as in Paul, T as in Tom, O, uspto.gov, using the trademark electronic search system. That's something important. I mean, when you're investing in a franchise, especially a well-known name, people recognize the logo. How protected is that?
Yeah, there's horror stories, Don. I mean, and we've had them on the show. I mean, when we've had like franchise attorney Nancy Leonard or Kevin Hine, they've mentioned stories like that with the trademark, and you could never even imagine. You see how something like that could happen, but it could. Don't leave anything to chance. I mean, this is just too big, to leave anything to chance, and that's where sometimes I guess the average person doesn't think of these things, So this is a great article. Yeah, go ahead.
Item 7. What is the estimated total investment, of course? The item usually breaks it down to a range of total investment taking into account a dozen variables. He would talk to his brother about the resources he brings to the investment. The last thing I'd want is for my brother to go into this, or any business, undercapitalized.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And he talks about cover pages. There are a couple of key points in the cover pages, including summaries of the Item 7 estimates and the Item 5 initial fees. But I'm interested in where the FDD is registered. Usually those states will be listed immediately following the state cover page. If no franchise registration states were listed as currently registered, I would make a note to ask the company about it. He talks about his brother being in Maryland, which is a registration state. So you don't want to go through all the process of investigating the franchise. And first, the franchisor will be up front with you to let you know that state, they might not be registered. And there could be a delay in you eventually opening the franchise.
Right.
Item 20 of the FDD, statistics and list. I'd want to learn how many franchises are in the system and in which states they are located. Then I would take a look at a list of the franchises and exhibits and look at the names and locations in the state that you're in. And that'll tell you how he would fit in the system. Is this market crowded, or would he be the first to locate in his part of the state? But that's a good point. I mean, this franchise might be all over the country, but maybe not in a particular state. You might be the first one in that area, or maybe the first one in that area of the state. How is that going to help or hurt you?
Exactly. I mean, a lot of times you are buying for that brand name recognition, aren't you?
Right.
So you're not always getting that. Not everyone knows a newer franchise system that may only have 10 units and they're popular, let's say here in Pennsylvania, but in Nevada, no one's ever heard of them before. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's a big question that you have to take into consideration.
And he recommends just reading the balance of the FDD. Read everything. It's a big investment. You're going to be doing it for years. Just make sure you go through everything, though it's a pretty thick document. Obviously, have an attorney review it. So the first one is consultation. Will you like it? You have the skills to do the type of business or franchise you're looking into. Step 2 is all about the FDD, the franchise disclosure document. Step 3, he says, bring in the pros. My brother will need a professional accountant to help him prepare a business plan, determine when he might hit a break-even point, consider whether the business has a good chance of being profitable, and structure the financing he will need. I think I would also bring in another attorney to handle any negotiations with the franchisor. And then he goes on to say, even with that level of study, there are no guarantees, of course, but it will help my brother locate key information and talk about how to evaluate if he makes a decision. So this is interesting. He's a person been in franchising a long time. He was talking to his own family. I guess these are the 3 major steps he would recommend in reviewing a franchise, all practical and stuff you have to do.
It's a clever article, isn't it? Saying, this is the advice that I would give to my son or I'd give to my brother, somebody that you truly care about. You would never mislead them, and this is exactly what I would say to them. So I like how the author, put it in those terms. It makes a lot of sense.
I also missed something here. I missed this. It was at the bottom. You mentioned a step 4, which is you must listen to Franchise Interviews radio show at Marty and Don every Thursday.
Oh, you're brilliant. There you go. That works. Also, too, Don, is we've had on the show, it's one of my favorite shows, I don't know if you remember Ryan Cunningham, Javelin Solutions, and he spoke about the importance of location. There's even services out there that can help you identify, a key location, because that must be difficult, it's difficult for experts, I think, sometimes, to find that great location.
Right.
So there's just so many services out there. Don't go at this alone. And I think, if you have a family, get them involved as well, because whether they know it or not, they're going to be part of this whole thing. We've had a lot of people on the show mention how you really do need that family support, because that first year is going to be a lot of work. You're going to spend 60, 70 hours sometimes doing this. Your family can be a big part of that. So most definitely.
Right. Good point.
What else you got? You have any other?
Well, yeah. I mean, and then I saw something, Marty, through blackenterprise.com, 6 Franchise Success Factors by Tennille Robinson. Kind of goes on to talk a little bit about other things when considering becoming a franchisee. One, of course, is financing. Now when you try to obtain a loan, the criteria is going to be much more stringent. You definitely have to come prepared. Most financial institutions are looking to see if you have 30 or 40% of the capital to match what you're trying to get from them. The days of getting 100% financing are gone. So, I mean, obviously with the financing game change, that's going to be a little tougher when you're looking to get a franchise. You got to really go over all that, whether you're investing all the money yourself or we should probably do another updated financing show soon. Talk about all the different types of financing that we can do. So I'm sure that'll be something we'll do by the end of the year. She also talks about options. Franchising is inviting because you have choices. It's just a matter of making the right one for your budget. There's so many different options and so many different investing points where you can come in. There is something for everybody. She talks about franchisors. In the light of the downturn, some franchise offer in-house financing to help franchise owners and existing franchisees. She talks about some of their members did some creative things to give existing franchisees some support. We talked a lot about that during the year, how franchisors are adapting to these times to still continue to grow and expand by lowering the franchise fees or maybe lowering the royalty or delaying it, staggering it, whatever. She says there's nothing worse than bringing in 100 new franchisees, but you've lost 20 or 30 of your current franchisees because they weren't able to restructure some things. She says, I'm proud that some of our member franchise systems work to keep their franchisees afloat during the rough economic path.
Right, that's where the FDD comes in handy, doesn't it, Don? Because, again, that's something that has to be disclosed in that particular document. As you use the example, or the author used the example, bringing in 100 new franchisees and 20 or 30 don't make it. Well, that's going on your report card, and that's not good when it comes to selling the franchise system, and this is why a lot of franchisors are so careful as far as bringing in a franchisee. You want to make sure that this thing is going to work, otherwise it's going to go on that report card, which again, as we know, is the FTD.
Right. Marketing, training, and education, a franchise system that provides ongoing support in marketing, advertising, training, and education will be helpful. She emphasizes the importance of marketing and advertising. While a franchisee can be helped financially to stay in business, people don't know that your business is there, then you're setting yourself up for failure. So many franchisors are providing additional training and support to their franchisees, are also educating them to connect with the people within their respective city's economic development office or entity. Planning. If someone wakes up in the morning and says, I want to buy a franchise, that would scare me, she says. It is a process that you're going to have to live with for a minimum 10 years. It would be easier getting out of a marriage than getting out of the franchise.
Wow.
Who advises potential franchisees to take their time, educate themselves, prepare financially before signing on the dotted line. Doing some long-range financial planning in terms of where you want to be in 5 or 10 years from now and putting those things in place before you go into business would make a smoother transition. So more good practical advice, and this is through blackenterprise.com. Tennille Robinson.
It's a great article.
Yeah.
There's a couple of quotes in there that should definitely go in. Great quotes in franchising, So, yeah, those are fantastic articles. So, good job. So I see our guest on Taylor has called in. So why don't we do this? We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back with more franchise interviews. Coming up in segment 2, they're the nation's first franchise of gently used and new name brand children's items. We're meeting with Taylor Bond, the CEO of Children's Orchard and Newcomers, and that's coming up on Franchise Interviews.
Big Mouth!
Okay, you've got my attention.
It's a rare event in the world of franchising when an opportunity comes your way that can and will thrive in almost any economic environment. It's here, and its name is Big Mouth Advertising.
Big Mouth.
BMA is a leader in the exciting world of mobile media advertising. Why is mobile media advertising able to defy the economic cycles? The answer is obvious. In times of economic weakness, advertising is crucial for survival as the consumer dollar is scarce and the competition fierce. What is mobile media? It's the newest and fastest growing segment in the advertising world. Mobile media brings the message directly to the consumer. Mobile media goes to the consumer in traffic, where he eats and where he plays. It quite simply cannot be turned off or thrown out. And when you join the Big Mouth team as a franchisee, you are joining the best. The Big Mouth advantage is simple and successful. We invest in a strong infrastructure and in great people. As a franchisee, you have access to this entire system, including telemarketing, sales maximization, general and administrative support, design and creative services, even billing and collection services. All you need is a mobile media vehicle, a driver, and the willingness to create a financially sound and limitless business for yourself. There are no long-term leases to sign, no expensive build-outs, no office personnel to hire. You will be part of the Big Mouth advertising community and share its entire website and reception services, as well as its complete back-office services. This virtual office guarantees you the freedom to close those sales that will make you a success. We are so proud of our successes that we have voluntarily disclosed our revenue statements. Now, how many other franchises are doing that? Even in these historically rough financial times, Big Mouth Advertising has become a dominant force in the mobile media industry. Join the Big Mouth team and take the first step toward financial freedom. Please call Ron at 888-98-GO-BIG. That's 888-98-GO-BIG. Big Mouth! Need a business loan? Talk to Diamond Financial Services, the experts in franchise financing nationwide. Whether you're looking to start a franchise, acquire an existing franchise, or expand your territory through opening new locations, Diamond Financial stands by your side start to finish. From pre-qualification to packaging and presenting your application to securing a financial commitment and through the loan closing process, Diamond Financial is there. While you're waiting, thousands of others are making their financial dreams come true. Don't wait any longer. Pre-qualify now by completing a confidential, no-obligation financial analysis. Let's face it, traditional banks just aren't in the business of financing small business. At Diamond Financial, we specialize in securing franchise loans from $100,000 to $3 million and equipment leasing up to $150,000. Let us help you get started. Go to www.franchisefunding.net or call 877-508-2274. That's franchisefunding.net, 877-508-2274.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Franchise Interviews, where we're asking the entrepreneurs who own one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, with my co-host, Don Johnson. And if you've ever dreamed of owning your own business, then you've come to the right place. And as we were saying earlier, Don, we have a great show today because we're meeting with Taylor Bond, the CEO of Children's Orchard and Newcomers. Founded in 1980, Children's Orchard is the nation's first franchise of gently used and new name brand children's items. Hey, Taylor, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you this morning?
Oh, great, Taylor. Taylor, joining us is my co-host, Don Johnson, and I know, Don, you wanted to say good morning to Taylor.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Taylor. We're interested in finding out all about the business. You've been around for a number of years, have a number of stores. Appreciate you coming on. How's business been going these days in this tough economy?
Well, you have to compete to stay alive in this economy. We're working hard at it. We're celebrating our 30th anniversary this year, and so we're excited about that. And for Children's Orchard, we really do have we're in a good position to do well in this economy. The fact that we are since we're a children's resale and we're offering tremendous value, up to 80% off retail. People are certainly interested in what we're doing, and interested in our brand name products, clothing, toys, children's accessories, and as well as the fact that we're environmentally sound. We're recycling, and we've been doing it for 30 years.
Wow, that's great. And that's a milestone, Taylor, to that. 30th anniversary, congratulations on that. It really is one of those big milestone dates, I think, in franchising when you hit those numbers like 25 or 30 years, so that's fantastic. Don and I are both have children as well, so we can relate to how expensive they can be. I have a 3-year-old son, and Don has twins, both 6 years old, so we can definitely appreciate your service, so we're really excited to have you on the show today. We always like to ask our guests where you're calling from this morning, Taylor.
I'm calling from Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Okay,
so
great.
That's where our headquarters is now.
Okay, fantastic. And what were you doing before joining Children's Orchard and Newcomers as well?
Well, I've done a number of things. Throughout my years, I started off my career at Domino's Pizza, working in their corporate headquarters in their marketing and market research division. Then went off and was for a number of years was a Computer Renaissance franchisee, selling used computer equipment. Did well with that. Went off and ran an internet company for a while, and then decided I missed the franchising business and acquired Children's Orchard back in 2004, and have been doing that ever since.
We hear that so much, Taylor, Marty, from doing the show now in our 4th year. So many people just eventually want to get back to franchising when they've been in the business a while. It's amazing how many times that we've heard that, Taylor. So I'm sure you're happy you made that decision. Like Marty said, I have twins, 6 years old, and I just know that's I guess a battle in that the kids start growing quickly and they grow out of clothes. Luckily, we have friends who have older kids. My sister has some older girls, so we get those clothes to save us, but we were just out this weekend at a mall buying clothes, and they can get to be pretty expensive. So I guess Children's Orchard, I guess you're benefiting from probably being able to get people some pretty good deals, right?
Yes, and you're absolutely right. Children's clothing is incredibly expensive. It leaves you scratching your head wondering why. There's less material. What's going on here? But it's just incredibly expensive, and when we're talking about 80% off retail, our moms love it. And when you can pick up name brand outfits, for that we're selling for $60, and you can walk into our store and pick them up, for $5.99, $6.99, in terrific condition. How can you pass that up?
Right.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And the kids grew out of the clothes so fast today too, Taylor, don't they? There's nothing more frustrating than buying something new and then a month or two later the child grows out of it.
They grow out so fast that we have a lot of stuff in our stores where the tags are still on them. They never they grew right through them. They never got a chance to put them on them.
I know. It's so
Same
true.
thing with shoes is kind of scary. How quickly if they're playing sports, sneakers, cleats. That could be a whole industry just in the shoe department.
Well, we do have a lot of shoes, and you're right, and a lot of them come through and they've never been worn, or they've been worn very infrequently. Obviously, boys wear their clothes a little bit tougher than girls do, so there's always a demand for good resale clothing for boys. But the fact is that these are everybody wants to clothe their children in the best, and trying to do so, especially in this economic environment, is pretty darn expensive. And for Children's Orchard, that's been a sweet spot for us, obviously.
Now, when did Children's Orchard start franchising? Where's been most of the growth? You've been around for a little while.
Yeah, they started franchising in 1985. And we have our biggest presence right now is in the Boston area, and then also on the West Coast in California, Orange County. We also have a good Midwestern presence in places like the Kansas City, Kansas area, and so we're all over the country. We have about 50 locations throughout the country, and we're looking to grow and add more.
And what's interesting about the the business model, I guess, for people listening who are thinking of investing in the franchise. Maybe you can describe, Taylor, the Children's Orchard system.
Well, I mean, the business is relatively easy to explain and understand. We're a children's resale boutique.
Yes.
We buy our inventory. What's unique is we buy our inventory from our customers, at the local market level. We then obviously we as a system have standards, certain methods that we use to determine what you should buy and what you should pay and how you should price, like any other franchise system would have. We also have obviously the way our stores are laid out, the way they're constructed, the way they're merchandised. Those are all things that we've learned how to do over the past 30 years to make them most appealing and to overcome any concerns people might have about buying resale. If you walk into a Children's Orchard store, you're not going to be able to tell the difference between what's new and what's resale. Gently used. Because we have great standards and we have great products and we have a lot of name brand products. So buying from our customers is very important. We are very community oriented. As part of our franchise system, we encourage our owners to be part of the community. Our moms are very, very loyal. We have a very loyal customer base because they come in. They come in, before their child is born. They shop the store because we do maternity as well. They shop the store. Their kids come in. They can be with us for 10, 12, 14 years. As they're going through the cycle of having children. And then of course it's always interesting and sad when they walk out the door after their last child. They literally walk out in tears.
Yeah, there's so many memories. Kids
and they don't want to leave the store.
I know with my wife, probably with most mothers, sometimes it's a little emotional because certain clothes, they wore a lot, and you took pictures, and you hate to see them outgrow it. I know my wife has held on to certain things. And your wife is not unique in that way, and we're obviously sensitive to that. But they also feel very good about knowing that some other child will have an opportunity to wear those clothes and enjoy them, or whether it's a bassinet or a crib or a stroller or some toys or whatever it is. There's a great feeling to know that this stuff isn't just going into a landfill, that it's going to be used again and enjoyed. And at the same time, you should also know that we donate every year. What we don't buy, what might not meet our standards, we donate to local community charities, and we donate millions of pieces a year to local charities, and over the years we've donated hundreds of millions of pieces of clothing and toys to local charities throughout the country, and it's our way of and our customers' way of giving back to the community and helping those out who are less fortunate. Right.
Great. And I see in 2006, Kelly, you guys purchased was it Newcomers Welcome Service? Could you say a little bit about that, to our listeners?
Sure. Newcomers Welcome Service is a slightly different kind of franchise for us, where Children's Orchard is your more traditional retail model. Newcomers Welcome Service is a home-based franchise. Newcomers Welcome Service, is very exciting to me. The basic premise of the concept is that when people move into a new area, into a new community, they're lost. They don't know where to go shop. They don't know where the cleaners is. They don't know who the doctors are in the area. They don't know where the schools are. They don't know anything. I mean, if you've ever moved, you know that you're being yanked out by the roots and you're being dropped in someplace else, and you got to figure out what to do. What Newcomers Welcome Service does is that we go and we literally come to your home with a packet of information from all our sponsors, and we sit down with you at the kitchen table. We call it kitchen table marketing. We sit down. One of our representatives sits down with you, usually for about 45 minutes to an hour, and goes through, normally with the lady of the house, and goes through introduces her to the community, tells her where all where the schools are, introduces her to the local supermarket, introduces her to the local hardware store, and provides a bunch of very valuable offers from our local sponsors. And the reaction to our service is tremendous. I mean, we have you can't imagine the relief people feel when they suddenly somebody has sat down and took the time to tell them where everything is, that they can get their life started. I know when I moved to Minnesota, my wife and I, we picked up and left Ann Arbor and moved to Minnesota. All I had to do basically, the way the world worked was find my way to the office. my poor wife had to figure out everything else, and I know that for the first few weeks she was pretty stressed out about the whole thing. And finally, I came home one day and there was a big smile on her face, and the reason was is she'd been visited by a couple of nice ladies in the community who sat down and gave her a package of information and told her where everything was.
That's great. Yes, it gets your family comfortable that much quicker.
Right, and our sponsors, and from the perspective of our sponsors, this is the most powerful form of marketing anybody could offer, because we deal mostly with locals. We don't do the nationals. We do local businesses. The local hardware store, the local hairdresser, the local barber shop, and for them, there is no better time to reach a new customer than when they first move into the neighborhood.
True.
Right. If you don't get them then, we tell them, if you don't get them then, you're going to have to compete with the nationals. If you're the local hardware store and the newcomer doesn't learn about you then, you're going to then have to try and battle against, the Home Depots and Lowe's of the world, and you just can't do that. Right. You don't, right. you just, so for our sponsors, we have sponsors here in the Ann Arbor market who've been with us over 25 years. For many of them, this is their only form of advertising, and so for the franchisee, it's a tremendously our franchise, for our franchisees, it's a fun business. It's a tremendously fun business. We've developed software that allows them to run it from anywhere. That's one of the most unique parts of our business is we've developed a software application that runs the entire business, so you can do it from anywhere. You always know, are your reps out there? What are they doing? Are they following up on leads? Your sponsors get a list of all the people you visited during the month. I mean, it's totally web-based. It's a totally web-based application that allows them to run the business. And as far as an investment for franchises, it's under $10,000.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, and that's in franchising nowadays, as I'm sure you guys know, money is short.
Right.
The investment capital isn't there as well, and so one of the sweet spots in franchising nowadays is the under $10,000 kind of franchise, and this is a good, solid franchise with a we're celebrating our 50th year for Newcomers Welcome Service. So this is a proven model.
Yeah, that's
Marty, this is just a couple of business models like we've done in the past, wishing that they were right in our neighborhood. Like something like Children's Orchard. So I can use that right away.
Well, we'd love to put one in there.
Yeah. Well, we have that problem too, Taylor. When we moved from New Jersey to Pennsylvania, when you move to another state, it is a little overwhelming, and you just don't know where to begin. But it's what a great service for your sponsors, because again, there's no loyalty established with any particular pizza place or cleaners or dentist, and what a time to grab them, is
right. The slate is clean. You're never going to get, and of course we know nowadays. The old standards of advertising, the coupon books, the newspapers, if you still have a newspaper in your area, everything in marketing has been totally blown up. What works? The question of what works, the answers aren't there like they were 10 or 20 years ago. You can't just throw an ad in the paper and expect to see results. This kind of advertising, face-to-face kind of stuff works. That's the one thing that works, and that's one of the weaknesses that most small businesses have is they're either too busy or too tentative to get out of their stores or get out of their businesses and meet people. And Newcomers Welcome Service solves that problem for them.
Yes, and are the sponsors, Taylor, providing I guess there's a coupon or some type of offer, I guess, to use the service this way? I guess they can get a measurable response at the end of the day or at the end of the month anyway.
Yes. Part of the program for the sponsor side is they need to make a unique offer. It needs to be a generous offer. Restaurants will offer, free meals. Handymen will offer, substantial discounts off their services. The objective is to get that person to do business with you. We tell them that we'll get them to knock on their door. It's their job to turn them into loyal customers. But yes, they get usually our packets. If you add up the values of what it's $400 or $500 worth of value that the recipient is getting, that the newcomer is getting when we, in terms of the value of all the coupons and things that they're receiving from us.
Wow, it is. It's a great service. I think of the cleaners, Taylor. How much money we spend on our cleaners. It's just, since we've been here. So it makes so much sense. When you look at the lifetime worth of a new customer, it is really amazing. So
right, and from the perspective of from the perspective of a franchisee, this is not a very difficult business to run. They can work as hard as they want, on this. This is they can either do all the visits themselves, or they can hire commissioned representatives to do the visits. And we teach them the whole business, but it's not one of these. I got to be at the store at 9 o'clock, and I got to be open till 6, and I need 50 employees. It's a very, very. It really fits with the times nowadays too.
That's terrific. Taylor, we have to take a quick break. Are you able to stick around for another segment?
Sure.
That's fantastic.
Absolutely.
We'll be right back with more franchise interviews.
Franchise Interviews. For over 2 years now, Franchise Interviews has been giving you an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship.
Through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising.
And our weekly franchise radio show, where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisors, franchisees, franchise authors, experts, and attorneys.
And our free franchise newsletter, which is a must-read for anyone looking to buy a franchise.
And don't forget to listen to our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919.
That's 610-905-2919. Are you one of those special people who are willing to go after your dreams and goals? Are you ready to fulfill that dream of owning your own business with the security of a proven brand? The opportunity to take control of your future and own a Rita's Italian Ice franchise is within your reach.
Rita's is seeking success-oriented individuals who are ready to make a change in their life, and Rita's offers unparalleled training and support to assure your success. And did you know the frozen treat industry is a recession-proof industry, and there are Rita's in 23 states currently with 540 stores open. Rita's Italian Ice has been around for 25 years and is listed as a top-performing franchise by the Wall Street Journal.
Now here's the really good part. Rita's Italian Ice is a unique and amazing taste treat. It's smoother than a snow cone, and it combines ice with real fresh fruit. The real fruit adds dramatically to the taste, and it comes in over 40 flavors. The ice and fruit are mixed on site and made fresh daily, and it is delicious.
You'll want to know more about this exciting and successful franchise opportunity. Go to www.ownaritas.com and get all your questions answered. That's www.ownaritas.com to take control of your dreams and future today. You don't want to wait any longer to be a part of this adventure. www.ownaritas.com.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Franchise Interviews, where we're asking the franchisepreneur who owns one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, with my co-host, Don Johnson. And if you ever dream of owning your own business, then you've come to the right place. We have a great show today. We're meeting with Taylor Bond, CEO of Children's Orchard and Newcomers. Founded in 1980, Children's Orchard is the nation's first franchise of gently used and new name brand children's items. And Don, I think you're up.
Yeah, Taylor. You have several franchisees. I think you mentioned about 50. Are there what types of characteristics do you look for in a franchisee? Has that changed any last few years? Maybe looking for people with pre-qualifying people for financing, looking more for retail experience, sales background. Tell us a little bit about that, please.
That's a great question, and that's probably one of the hardest questions to answer in franchising, if you think about it. How many times are franchisors, do you sit across the table from somebody and you look at them and you think this is going to be a great operator, and you end up disappointed, and you look at somebody else and you think, wow, I don't know if they can do it, and they turn out to be your best, your very best franchisee. I guess if I had to say what characteristics it really comes down to for Children's Orchard, because it's a retail concept, it's really two things. One, and probably most importantly, the willingness to follow a system.
Right.
You know, there is one commonality between all franchises on the face of the earth, and that is that successful franchisees follow the system. And of course the other side of that coin is that franchisees who don't follow the system rarely succeed. The second thing is just hard work. The willingness to work hard, the willingness to devote your time, not only to follow the system, but to put your time and your passion and all your efforts into being a successful business person. Now, that quality is not unique to franchising. It doesn't make a difference what you do, whether you're running a retail location, running a service business, or you know, you two gentlemen, doing what you do. If you don't do it, if you don't work hard and you don't try and do it as best you can and try and be the best at what you do, you're just not going to succeed. So the answer to your question is sure. We're really, those are the two characteristics that we have been able to identify that are absolutely the most important. Everything else is nice, but without those two, you just can't be a successful business owner.
Right.
Yeah, well said.
I mean, I wish that, you know, I laugh, you know, I've been throughout the years, I've seen people do these psychographic tests and all these and you know, and in the end you know, it's great business. Look, it's a great business for people selling the psychographic tests maybe, but you know, you leave me, as the researcher side of me leaves me scratching my head going, no, I don't believe in that.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. What about the training, Tal? I mean, what's that like for both franchise opportunities? I guess the training's a little different for both.
Oh, yes. Well, for Children's Orchard, you know, having been a franchisee myself for about 7 years and having gone through training, I can tell you that the Children's Orchard training is the most thorough training I've ever been a part of in my entire life, and that includes, you know, my years at Domino's as well. I mean, we bring them in here, and they spend 2 solid weeks here learning every aspect of this business. And one of the most important things about the training is they spend a considerable amount of time in the store. Now, we do classroom training as well. We help them, you know, learn things about, you know, we have some proprietary financial management methodologies that we use, that we teach them about. We teach them about, you know, personnel issues, you know, how to handle employees, that kind of stuff, finance, you know, keeping your books, all that kind of stuff. But we also spend a lot of time in the store, you know, teaching them how to buy, how to manage customers, how to deal with employees inside the store, how to merchandise your store. So they spend some real hard, you know, some real hands-on time inside the store. And there's a lot of franchises out there who pay short shrift to that. You know, I know some franchises out there where they spend no time in the store during their franchise training
startup period. Yeah.
And you go, whoa, you know, that's not, I don't quite know how that makes any sense. With our Newcomers training, it's a little bit less intensive because of the nature of what the business is, but we bring you in and we teach you about the business, how to use the software, the proprietary software we have. We teach you how to source leads. We teach you how to approach sponsors, how to do a visit, you know, what the process is. We have a very tight script on how a visit should be given. You know, we have a very good script on how to approach sponsors and get them to sign up with you. You know, that kind of stuff. And we teach you, we provide you with our marketing materials and that kind of stuff. So that it's also very intense. That one's about 3 days, 3 or 4 days. Depending upon the individual. So they're because of the nature of the businesses, they're slightly different, but they're both very intense and very thorough.
Interesting. What about a typical day? Again, a typical day would be different for both opportunities, Taylor. Starting with like the Children's Orchard, I guess certain days are more busy than other days.
Sure. I mean, a typical day for a franchise owner, for a Children's Orchard is sort of changes over time. We're big believers. I'm sure you gentlemen are probably familiar with the book, The E-Myth.
Mm-hmm. Of course, yeah.
We are big believers in the E-Myth and the E-Myth model. You know, this concept of starting, you know, technician, manager, entrepreneur. And so we teach part of what we teach in fact, we require that our franchisees, and I would recommend anybody who's going to run a business, read the E-Myth. We require that it's required reading before you show up to training so that we have a common source of communication in terms of how we think about things as a franchisor. So over time, we expect our franchisees, they come in as technicians, and initially when they first get into their stores, they're learning about the business and they're getting a lot of hands-on experience. And usually that goes on for about the first 3 to 6 months where they're just trying to figure out, what's going on. But over time, we teach them that they then eventually they got to move from technician to being a manager. They have to be able to delegate responsibilities to others in their organization. They have to begin to build a machine so that eventually what they can do is they can be the entrepreneur. Somebody out there looking at the long term, looking at what the long term vision is for their store. What's growth? What's marketing? What am I trying to accomplish here? Or how am I going to get bigger? Do I want to own multiple stores? So I tell you that the average day for a franchisee changes over time. They always have to be hands-on in their organization, but what they are responsible for over the course of a day should change over time. If 5 or 6 years later you're still doing it at the daily level where you're running the register, your business is not going to grow, or you're putting limits on how your business can grow. If you become the entrepreneur, the manager, and the entrepreneur, your business has a chance to prosper.
Good point. By the way, Michael Gerber's been on our show a couple of times.
Yes, I met him a number of years ago. A very nice gentleman, and has some ideas that I definitely agree with.
Yeah, same with us.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, I think it's great advice to have your franchisees read the E-Myth. It just makes them understand everything so much better, and I think everyone benefits from reading the book. What advice, Keller, would you give to the majority of our listeners are aspiring entrepreneurs? Sometimes we call them franchipreneurs, looking to buy a franchise. What would you say to them? Because you've been doing this a long time now. What advice would you give to them?
Well, I agree. I was listening to you a little bit before I came on air, and I do agree that I believe in an informed franchisee. There are franchises out there that will take a check from anybody that breathes, right. And I am not one that believes that. In fact, I know that we are one of those organizations. We do turn people down. We have people come to us on Discovery Day, and we do turn people down. I agree that you should be well informed and that you should learn as much as you can about the franchise. Ask as many questions as you can. Read the contract carefully. I agree with that. I'll be the first to tell you that there are going to be things in every franchise contract that franchisees like, and there are going to be things in contracts that they don't like. But I'm not a huge. I was a franchisee too, and when I came into the franchise system, I didn't walk in believing that I was my franchisor's equal. That's not the nature of the franchisee-franchisor relationship. But I think it needs to be. It's not that it needs to be a relationship of equals. It needs to be a relationship of people working together to accomplish something. A lot of the things that are in a franchise agreement are designed to protect the system. This is not a franchise agreement is not just an agreement between a franchisor and a franchisee. There's 3 parties in a franchise agreement. There's the franchisor, the franchisee, and the franchise system, and people lose track of that part of it. There's no we don't want to check every piece of advertising that goes out the door if we didn't have to, but for the sake of the brand and the franchise system, we have to. That's just one example. So be well informed. I'm not a big believer in you need a good lawyer. I'm a little more wary of the accountants. Accountants tend to be a little bit too conservative for me.
I would agree with that too.
If I took the advice of my original accountant from when I was going off to become a computer renaissance franchisee, I never would have opened the business.
Right, you wouldn't be here right now.
Nope, that would have been a big mistake.
That's good, great. No, it was great having you on the show today. What's the best way for our listeners to get more information on both franchise opportunities? Are there any websites they can go to get more information?
Yes, they can go to www.children'sorchard.com, www.children'sorchard.com, or www.newcomerswelcomeservice.com.
Easy enough. That's fantastic. I want to thank you again, Taylor. You've been a fantastic guest, and Don and I would love to have you back in the near future.
I'd love to be on again. Thank you very much for your time, gentlemen.
Thanks, Taylor. Great job. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Always the type of guest we want to have on the show.
Exactly.
He's very passionate, knows what he's doing, loves franchising, left the industry, came back. As I said, I told him I wish there was a children's orchard right in my town.
Yeah, no, same here. You know, even this new service that they have, you know, the new, well, it's not a new service, but that they acquired in several years ago. I mean, that's a great service, isn't it?
Right, definitely.
We had someone come to our home when we first moved here, you know, because we had to do everything by trial and error, and this was kind of like a newer community, so a lot of people didn't know exactly, you know,
right,
to actually refer us to. So, I think that's a great service as well. It's low cost.
Right.
Both services are fantastic, though. So anyway, good job on segment 1 today, Don. Great articles. Good to be back, you know, with show number 190. We got 191 next week, slowly approaching 200, and I'll be talking to you next week, Don.
Great. Have a great day, Marty.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. Have a great day. Take care.